So I haven't made a video in a long time. And normally I have someone to vent to because I've been making lots of friends, which has been really helpful and stabilizing so that I don't rush into a relationship, because I really do crave companionship, and I guess I'll go this way. And I think that that is a good thing. I think that some people were made to enjoy being alone and to enjoy their isolation and feel more peaceful when they're alone. And some people were not. And there should not be any judgment. There's just different types of people. And for one person to be like, oh, you know, you're not spiritual if you don't enjoy being alone. Okay. That's your opinion. What do you base that on? You know, I feel more stable when I have someone, because I don't believe you can be complete in yourself when you are, we're designed as humans to be male and female, to be split between divine and masculine, divine feminine and divine masculine. And to think that you can embody that all on your own probably means you are not from a dimension, or you haven't had that soul split aspect. Some people have had a soul split. I don't know as much about that as I should, but other people I do not believe have had a soul split. Okay, they embody the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and they have from their incarnation. It's not something you can achieve by discipline. It simply is not. It is, you either are or you aren't. So if you have a soul split, you crave. If you're a woman, you crave that masculinity. But that doesn't mean you should defend codependency. You know, like, oh, I'm just codependent, so I'm going to be miserable until. No, it's just you find other relationships to fill that void. And it also doesn't mean that you don't try to discipline yourself to be able to be alone. But when you're alone, if you are needing to process things, because that's how you process information, like for example, I have ADHD and my mind is always working. And right now, because of the unhealthy state of my mind, I can't empty my mind. I can play music, then I can follow guided meditation, and I do that. But oftentimes I will fall asleep. So I tend to like guided meditation that are actually meant to help you subconsciously while you're sleeping. I can think about things very objectively or imaginatively. And, you know, I can do that while I sleep, or before I go to sleep, which is helpful. But emptying my mind is not something I can do right now. And I'm not going to keep trying, because to me, when you keep trying something that doesn't work, that's just insanity. And I'm not going to feel guilty for it. I am going to take steps in order to address that. So you have ADHD, there's a lot of things you can do. And I know all about biohacking. And I've just been broke. And so I've been waiting for money to come in so that I can do the things such as taking lion's mane. There's also a probiotic that's been studied that helps people with autism or ADHD. You can take fish oil. You can take GABA. What are some of the others? Melatonin, nicotine. There's neuroprotective compounds, there's herbs, there's all kinds of stuff. I can't think of it everything off the top of my head, but I'm trying one thing at a time. I tried DHEA because my doctor said that would help, but it didn't. I'm not sure why. I've tried different breathing techniques. I have tried different frequencies, and they haven't worked. And I'm not someone who will continue to do something indefinitely without results. Now, if someone says, listen, guaranteed, if you do this, you will have results. No one can guarantee me that though, unless like it's my higher self. Then they can, because they know me and my particular, but someone else, like, you can't guarantee, because I am not you. You don't have my same biology. You don't have my same brain. You know, unless you said, listen, I did this activity my brain was exactly like yours, and I did this activity every day for this many days, I guarantee it will work for you. If everything in their experience has been identical to mine, I would probably take that and be like, okay, that's a good enough evidence for me. But someone who is completely different in their experience and their personality and their biology, and they say they did something that is really, really hard or expensive or inaccessible in some other way, I am not going to beat myself up because I can't do it. I'm not going to go broke, go into debt, anything. You know, what is meant for me is going to come easily, and I'm going to be drawn to it. That's the thing, is when you believe in destiny like I do, what is meant for you is irresistible to you. And like when I started thinking about Lion's Mane, and I started seeing all these ads and people keep talking about it and would send me links, and I was like, I think I'm supposed to try Lion's Mane. And when I had the money, as soon as I had the money, I ordered it. And yeah, it's taken a long time. But another thing that I feel really drawn to is having something to do with ionic gold. I just haven't found the source that I feel really confident about, that it's reasonable and reliable. But that's what I want to try next. So one at a time, I'm going to try things. Now, I already know fish oil works for me. I'm almost out. So I've been rationing, and I'm not taking enough. I know that because my hair texture has changed since I've reduced my amount to like hardly anything. And so I need to get a really high quality fish oil and get back on that. And I've been kind of waiting until I know that I'm not going to run out of money, because I need to make my money last until I can bring in an income. I know what I want to do for an income. Before I was like, oh, you know, I'm just going to write my book because that's what I'm compelled to do. And I'm going to make my posts on social media, and I'm just going to, because this is what, but I kind of have, that's kind of run dry a little bit. It never was an idea to make money anyway. And then I was like, oh, maybe I need to get a nannying job again. And I kind of like spun my wheels at that. And I did Instacart for one day or DoorDash. And I was like, yeah, no way. I'm making less than $10 an hour doing this. No way. Doesn't pay for car insurance, doesn't really pay for gas. You're hardly making anything. And so I waited and got my PFD, paid bills, I'm ahead in rent, and so everything is good with that. I should be getting my tax refund soon, which will be over $8,000, which will last a good long time, because my budget right now, I've got heating assistance, child support, food stamps, and that covers most of my bills. So I've got phone bill and gas. So I don't need a lot of money, and I just don't spend a lot. I've been getting by. Yeah, no, I don't have all my necessities, but I've got enough. I would say I am so much more comfortable than maybe even the average person, if you consider living conditions in third world countries. So yeah, like I really don't have any room to complain. I felt like I didn't really need my room, so I moved into the pantry, and I have a roommate who's paying half my rent, so I'm okay. I'm doing okay. I would like to be able to afford more, supplements, and it is going to cost $1,000 to start training, and I've decided. So I stumbled upon Dolores Cannon a couple months ago, and I decided that I want to learn how to become one of those hypnotherapists. I've been very fascinated with hypnotherapy for a long time. Darren Brown, probably over a decade. But this is so much more than that. It's a healing method, and it's a method to actually find answers, like universal truths. So I've been listening to previews of her books, And there were some things that bothered me. And I was like, you know what? I've changed my beliefs so many times. I'm willing to change my beliefs, but not if it conflicts with my heart. Like, I am going to know if it's true or not. And I just kept listening. And then I bought a book. And today, I heard something that set off every warning flag in my head. And I got so mad because I realized why I'm so mad. Why I have such a difficult time with being defensive when people judge me and falsely accuse me. And I get really angry at other people when they're judgmental towards people who are suffering. And I was listening to this woman. So she was having a life review. And she had been traveling. She thought she was traveling home. And then she got to this life review. And then she left and went into like darkness. And Dolores is like, what happened? She said, they told me to leave. And she's like, well, did they explain? She's like, not really. And she just sounded really depressed. And like, that's not right. When you go to a soul review, you are supposed to judge yourself and be like, oh, I failed and I want to try this mission next. And she was just completely dejected. And she's like, I don't think I have enough strength to do another life. I thought I need to rest. I need to recover. And they gave me the option of either being done and like being absorbed into source, which you're not supposed to do that until you've graduated, which no one is graduating. So that's not even an option. So that was an all out lie. Like, what the fuck? That's not something that is an actual option. Are you fucking kidding me? Or go back to Earth because you need to go live another life and you need to get through this experiment and this ascension process. And she didn't want to. The soul didn't want to do it. But there was something inside of her that was really, really wanting something. And so they said, that's the only way you're going to get it. She's like, I really, really want to create. I want to be able to create new life. It's just like an imprinted desire. And they're like, well, you're not going to be able to do that unless you go finish your mission. You're not done yet. They basically lied to her. They told her the last time she was going to be done. And I was just like, yeah, no, fuck that shit. That council is fucking corrupt. I don't know when the fuck they became corrupt and how many thousands or millions or billions of years this has been going on. But that is the most cold-hearted treatment for a suffering soul that I have ever heard. And I just was raging mad. And I'm like, how many people have stood before that council and had been treated like that and been lied to and manipulated? Like, this is a fucking soul trap. They're not letting people exit from their reincarnation cycle, are they? Like, they're not letting people ascend. Oh my God. Like, I was just like, okay. And then I remembered this download that I've been thinking about for a long time that I got when I was like, it was about 15 years ago. I first downloaded about the angels. And it was that there were two traits that divided the angels into, basically, I think, into thirds, but in degrees. So you've got, like, line up the angels, and from right to left, you have from non-existent to 100% degrees of loyalty. And I'm talking about unquestioning loyalty. There's a certain thing as questioning loyalty, right? Where you're like, I want to be loyal to you. I really do. But I'm going to have some questions answered first. So I'm going to withhold my judgment until the information is in. And this is the information I'm going to need. So a third of the angels had that quality. They had an equal degree of questioning and loyalty. But it was like from least to greatest, right? So out of, let's say, 12, you have 4 in each group, from least to greatest. And then you have questioning, the desire to question, just be curiosity, like pure curiosity. And, you know, that if taken without any loyalty, it's just like, you know what, fuck you, I don't care if you created us, I don't trust you, I want to make my decisions now. And it's like no willingness to be patient in that process of gathering information. So those were the rebellious angels. And, you know, let's say one of them was the most, and then the other 2 increasingly slightly more degrees of loyalty and a little bit less questioning. And then of the loyal angels, you had, you know, one that was like the most loyal, 0 desire to question authority at all, and the most, you know, judgmental. So judgmental and self-righteous. And then the questioning angels were just rebellious and like, fuck you, kind of thing. And everyone falls in one of those categories. And I happen to be someone I'm incredibly loyal to God. But I'm like, if I ever find evidence that he is corrupt, swear to God, I will go to war. So I do not have unquestioning loyalty, and I'm incredibly curious. I will not stop questioning it until all the questions are answered. So I'm like probably the middle of those angels. Well, there's two in the middle. So me and one other angel are like the most questioning and the most loyal. I don't know. I think I have a little bit more questioning than loyalty, and the angel next to me probably had a little more loyalty than questioning. And we're probably, you know, partnered up, maybe. Maybe that's my divine ray. That's partner in crime. Who knows? Finally here. So anyway, the loyal angels, think about unquestioning loyalty. Those are people who are willing to put up with an abusive partner because they're so loyal. They're like, oh, I just love you, and whatever you do, they're just going to keep being loyal. Like, that is not a good trait. Someone who supports a dictator who's killing people without question, yeah, not a good trait. Someone who puts up with a crime boss, you know, corrupt politicians, a abusive father, a corrupt pastor, there are, most of the evil in this world has been caused by not those who are corrupt, but those who put up with the corruption, because those who are corrupt are a fairly small number. That's probably the worst of them. It's like 1/12 of the population. But, you know, 3 out of 12 would be 1/4. When 1/4 of the population is willing to support 1/12 of the population, then they have power, because they can amass wealth, amass intelligence, and all kinds of things. But then you have the other aspect of the people who are just like rebellious, and they're just like, they are the people who are, what? My son is coming out here with not warm enough clothes. Hold on, I'm gonna pause here. All right. It is really, really cold. I'm gonna warm up before I take off my warm clothes. So I see a lot of evil stemming from blind loyalty. But so let's say the most loyal of the angels without any desire to question. Oh God, just got a text from Dawn, like, I'm not gonna listen to that. He can go fuck himself. Lost my train of thought. That's a very, very evil potential right there. And then the most rebellious of the angels, who's just like, you know what? I have questions and I have no desire to have any loyalty to source no matter what. then that angel was going to go into the depths of darkness, because they're basically opposing, like wanting to find an opposite way to create, a way to create that does not, this is like anything but God's way, anything but Creator's way. And so going to be really drawn to darkness. So those two angels out of all of them probably became mortal enemies, I would imagine. Whereas the angels that were more in the middle were more prone to be balanced in their personality and their approach. So like an angel that's like, yeah, I have questions, but hey, if my questions are answered, eventually I'm going to turn back to the path to light. So I believe 3 of the 4 angels have already turned back on the path to light. And one of those angels, every single demon who exists now, every single dark entity that exists now, is probably a descendant of that most rebellious angel, the most questioning, because the opposite of light is darkness. Source is light. And so in refusing to give any kind of patient willingness to consider the authority of Source, the desirability to emulate Source would really ultimately turn him completely dark. And since light is basically crystallized love, darkness is crystallized opposite of love, which is, people say apathy is the opposite of love, but it's not. Love is a willingness to suffer for someone else. And opposite of that is sadism. The willingness, the desire to actually cause someone harm, and that gives you pleasure. That's the opposite of light. That's darkness. That's pure darkness. And that's what we see. It's not apathy. We don't fucking see apathy. Apathy just leaves people alone. Like, I don't care. No, they care. The dark entities want to cause suffering because it creates an energy that they feed off of that gives them a false kind of eternal life. It's a life source for them. And so that has been the dark agenda, is how can I create suffering so that I can live longer? And it gives them a sick sense of pleasure. So I can see why, the loyal angels hate them. But I believe every religious movement has been ultimately able to be hijacked by the darkness, because it creates fear. And this is what the loyal angels don't understand, is that they're fallen too. They fell when they ceased to be willing to question, and then that they created this self-righteous lack of empathy. They have not. Who are they to have any control or any say-so in anyone's experience if they haven't lived a life in the 3rd density? And to be like, oh, you can handle more. We've been trying to help you. You're just not listening. You're just stuck. You're choosing this. And it's like, oh, fuck you. Okay. So my agenda now, my long-term mission is to explain in a logical enough format, basically to write a thesis, a dissertation about why these angels, this council, needs to be completely taken out and cast down to the 3rd density to live in the dark timeline, so they can know that you don't have free will. There's no such thing as free will until you graduate from the simulation. And this free will preaching that they've been doing, like, oh, we have free will, that is bullshit. Okay, we do not have free will. There has been a dark alien, dark angel entity campaign to take away free will. And the 3rd density is largely enslaved and have no compassion. That's what I noticed with Dolores Cannon, is just like, we're not supposed to convince anyone. If they love their chaos and their darkness, you know, then that's what they're going to have to experience. It's like, no one's choosing that. You fucktard. Ah, yeah, I'm livid. But I can't be talking like that if I'm going to be going to her school. Um, because I'm sure it's not her fault that she was deceived by a evil council of angels that have been controlling people's destinies for who knows how long. But it is gonna stop, because only angels who have lived life on this earth and have actually suffered and actually have sympathy for the fallen angels and actually have signed the Emerald Covenant that they are going to help, particularly the violet flame. So there's the emerald, blue flame, the gold flame, and the violet flame. And those are the three initial emanations, frequencies of God. It's the Trinity. And the violet ones have the role of being assigned to rehabilitate the dark aliens, the fallen draconians, Anunnaki bloodlines, the Zeta Reticuli. They are committed to restoring their healthy DNA. Because we have the crystal gene, which has all 12 DNA strands. And so when we incarnate into a line that has Anunnaki and also Christ's bloodline, which is, I think, in the Native Americans. So when you see someone who's a cross between Native American and European, very likely that is the bloodline of the violet flame. So I think that's Dawn. He's just too far gone. He's too enslaved. And that's why I was assigned to him. I mean, he's half European, half Native. It doesn't get more clearly delineated than that. I'm a lot more European. But I don't think all the Europeans are Anunnaki. I think that some of my European bloodline have already been rehabilitated. Like my mom's side, more rehabilitated than not. I don't know much about my dad's side. But the work has been done for each generation that kind of makes advancements towards virtues and self-control. And so my line already had a lot of progress in that area. I mean, I don't have any drug addicts in my line. 0. Hold on. What is going on here? Got another text from Don. I gotta check what he's saying.